On January the 13th, 2026, Calgary Police released a remarkable statement saying that they were not going to be charging a lady who killed another individual in self-defense because they said it was the most clear-cut case of self-defense they'd ever seen. Now, as viewers of this channel will know, this is highly remarkable because police never say that. And as we've seen, usually people get charged for defending themselves. So we're going to take a look at that case and see if we can figure out what happened on this week's Don't Talk TV. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. If you're new to this channel or you haven't previously done so, please like, subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification button. This is really helpful to us to try to spread the knowledge that we're trying to impart to people, spread the word of this channel, and defeat the algorithms, which certainly seem to be working against us in spite of all the content we've put out over the years and the lack of progress we make. So if you like this content, if you think it's all interesting, helpful, or informative, please like, subscribe, and share. Now, as I said in the preamble, we are going to talk about an unusual case where police force, and I'm going to single out Calgary Police. We'll talk about why I'm singling them out as being especially unusual for them to not lay charges in a circumstance like this, where they've said it's a clear-cut case of self-defense and they would not be charging a woman who killed someone with a knife in self-defense. Before we get into the details of that, a quick word from my volunteer PR guy who helps make Don't Talk TV happen.
Are you looking to increase your target market audience? Reach and/or engage with current or potential clients on social media? Or are you simply looking to rebrand or revamp a current or up-and-coming company or business? Well, look no further than Ram Design Group, Inc., your public relations insurance plan for your next company event, new product launch, or marketing campaign overhaul. Ram Design Group, Inc. specializes in marketing, event planning, product launches, communications, social media management, crisis management, copywriting, and much, much more. Please visit ramdesigngroupinc.ca for more information or email us at rmitchell@ramdesigngroupinc.ca and book your company's future success today.
All right, with that out of the way, let's get straight to the topic at hand. What I propose to do is we'll first look at the facts as are available to us through the media of this case. We'll then talk a bit about the law as we've covered it on Don't Talk TV, and I'll reference you back to some episodes where I've covered these things in more detail about what exactly the law in Canada is on defending yourself or even defending your home, although this case did not happen in the woman's home. And we'll look at Calgary and other Alberta Police Departments' track record to see, is this consistent with their usual modus operandi, and wrap that up with a few thoughts on what might be going on here. Why did the police perhaps choose not to charge this woman in these circumstances? So let's have a look at this article from the Calgary Herald. Link to this article will be in the show description as always. I chose this article in particular because it gave the most detail of all the articles I reviewed. And details are the key in cases like this. So the title of the article is "Police Say Woman Who Killed Attacker with Knife Was Acting in Self-Defense." The victim's actions undoubtedly saved her life, and our thoughts are with her as she continues to recover. So let's look at what the facts are here. So the owner of a property is actually this woman's father, as I understand from the article. So it's saying that he said Tuesday that he and his prospective tenant had signed a lease just moments before the tenant attacked his daughter. So they were looking at this property, probably an income property, sounds like, owned by this lady's father. They were showing this individual this property, and then what happened? So he said this guy gave him a bunch of stories about businesses he owned. He said that he saw the man taking medication, which he suspected was Viagra. Guessing he saw a blue pill after he saw it in his coat once the police arrived. Police couldn't confirm whether Viagra was found on the scene. When asked about the deposit, the man stalled, asked the owner's daughter for an inspection. So then after a while, he said he heard a cry for help. Rushed upstairs, couldn't find anyone, went down to the basement and found the terrifying scene. So here's where the key facts, it would seem, come out here. He said the man had struck his daughter in the face, temporarily knocking her unconscious, and was grabbing her by her hair. She came to as he attempted to suffocate her. As she tried pushing him away, he bit her fingers. At some point during the assault, she pulled a pocket knife and stabbed him. Unclear what Dad was doing while he is watching all this unfold. But interesting point here is the fact that this woman had a pocket knife on her, which she stabbed this guy to death with. That seems a bit unusual, but we'll get into that. So the father, of course, says that she had no other choice. He wouldn't get off her, and he kept hitting her. Now, here's the interesting part where the police said that, in their view, this man had lured her to the residence, saying that she acted in self-defense, and confirmed that the man who died, the attacker, his name was Shahbaz Ahmed, 48 years old, and they classified his death as a non-culpable homicide. Now, this is the term. I've never seen a police officer anywhere ever say this before. If you have seen police say this, please share it in the comments section below, because I don't want to be unfair. And quite frankly, I don't watch a lot of news. I hardly watch or read any. Usually it's just what friends send me. So please share with me if you've seen this before. But this staff sergeant or acting sergeant says, this is easily the most clear-cut case of self-defense that I've ever been involved in. Now, that's, as I said, that's a remarkable statement. But before we get into that, just a few points on the law. I've covered the law of self-defense in detail in episodes 18 and 19. I repeatedly recommend viewers to watch that. Only 200 people have watched either of those episodes to date. But if you want a good understanding of Canada's law of self-defense, I highly recommend you watch those two episodes. Episode 18, I talked about what is the law. Episode 19 looked at a number of cases where the law was implemented or applied to see how it actually functions. So we got the theory and then the practice. Also, episode 41 and episodes 145 talked about self-defense. 145 specifically looking more at defense if someone's invading your own home and attacking you. Short version, although again, episode 18 has this in much greater detail, but short version is, in order to be able to raise self-defense, you'd have to prove three things. One, that you were under attack, someone was using force on you, or there was a threat that force would be used soon on you. Two, that the action you did was for the purpose of stopping that use of force on yourself or on another person. And third, and this is the one that usually gets people hung up, is that the force you used in defense was reasonable. And as, again, if you look at 19, you'll see the sorts of cases where police have tended to lay charges. But let's also consider the track record of Calgary Police and other Alberta police services. Now, I think this is relevant because some people might be tempted to say, well, the reason this woman wasn't charged was because this is Alberta and Alberta is based and therefore they have respect for self-defense law. In my view, that's absolutely not true when it comes to Calgary Police Service. I don't think that's true Alberta police generally. Most of the most concerning cases that I've seen of police arresting people for doing things that they should not be arrested for come out of Alberta. So it's an interesting thing. I don't know what the deal with that is, but I don't think Alberta is this based, Texas-like place that the narrative likes to say. So just as let's do a bit of a reminder of things here. Episode 2 of Don't Talk TV was when I talked about the Ocean Weisblatt case. That was the young man who was arrested by Calgary Police for the crime of skating and playing hockey outdoors. Now, this was in early COVID when hysteria was high, but I didn't see any police service anywhere else in Canada arrest anyone for playing hockey outdoors. I mean, this wasn't indoors or anything like that, right? We also need to consider that, to my knowledge, post some links in the comment section if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, Alberta is the only place that pastors were arrested for holding church services during COVID. And now that's not a self-defense situation. Neither of these are self-defense situations, but I think it demonstrates the type of state first mentality that Calgary Police Service has. Arresting people for going to church, arresting pastors for holding church services does not scream based respecters of Christianity or people's rights to me. So we have this article here. And again, as always, links to all these articles will be in the show description. We've got Calgary Police arrest pastor for organizing services, violating public health orders. And this was actually the second arrest. So this is Tim Stevens they arrested. And as they mentioned, Stevens is the fourth, at this time, as the writing of this article, the fourth religious leader in Alberta to be arrested for organizing religious gatherings. Artur Pavlovsky and his brother David Pavlovsky were arrested by Calgary Police Service the previous week. And James Coates of Grace Life Church outside Edmonton was arrested in February. That being February of 2021. So again, that's another article. Now this other one here, this is Lethbridge Police, but I don't know if people remember this. This seemed a very infamous case to me. Lethbridge police officers who arrested teen dressed as stormtrooper cleared of misconduct. So this teenage employee of this, I think it was a comic store, was dressed as a stormtrooper, carrying stormtrooper paraphernalia, i.e. a blaster, i.e. an obviously fake science fiction laser gun. Laser guns don't exist in real life, certainly not in the size that someone could carry or that a Lethbridge teenager would be able to afford. And here's just a picture of Lethbridge police taking this young lady down with force. And that was a fairly infamous case. So again, that's Lethbridge, but this is still Alberta. And I think it kind of goes against the based Alberta narrative. We can also talk about, in episode 56, I talked about a homeowner who police did not charge, but that's where a homeowner came home. He was attacked and beaten with a baseball bat by the invader of the residence. Episode 56, I talked about that. Now, no charge laid, but police nowhere said this is clear cut. This person was heavily investigated and had to have a lot of stress and fear about being charged for being beaten with a baseball bat in his own home and then defending himself against that individual. And then episode 18, or episode 19 rather, where we looked at some cases that I've already mentioned. There's the Edward Maurice case just outside of Calgary, Okotoks, Alberta. He was charged by police. Now the Crown Attorneys eventually dropped the charges. Again, that man just trying to defend his family. He had young children at home. There was an invader approaching his house. He fired a warning shot. Didn't actually shoot the individual. So just some examples of we see the way police in Alberta tend to approach cases like this. So keeping all of that in mind, and also keeping in mind, I was remiss to fail to mention the case law. I believe it's I believe that's episode 41 that I referenced of what is a weapon under Canadian law. What constitutes carrying a weapon for self-defense. And that is episode 41. You can have a look at that in the show description. A viewer was promoting Runkle of the Bailey's channel and the fact that he'd discussed this, but we've discussed this on Don't Talk TV, and I believe I've talked about it earlier in time than Mr. Runkle did. Perhaps we'll do a follow-up episode, because that was quite a few years ago when we were talking episode 41, and we're at episode 284 at this point. And this is where I found the aspect of this woman carrying a pocket knife interesting. Again, let me know in the comments if I'm totally wrong on this, but usually it's a bit unusual in my experience for a woman to be carrying a pocket knife. The fact that she used it in self-defense, usually as we look at in episode 41, would immediately lead police to laying a charge of possession of a weapon to dangerous peace. Stabbing someone in self-defense makes this case unusual. Now, I should say that based on the way I've described the law, and if you look at my cases and when I've gone through more detail, in my view, the police made 100% absolutely the right call here from the information we have available. This was absolutely self-defense. This woman should not have been charged. My view is that many more cases where people are charged, police should have taken the same view, said this is the clear-cut case of self-defense and no charges will be laid. So why did the police behave differently in this particular case? I think the case begs that question. What is different about this case? I'd be interested in viewers' thoughts. What do you think? Why do you think the police said this case was clear-cut and this woman wouldn't be charged, when in other cases that seem equally or even more clear-cut, police don't say that? Is it because she was a woman? Maybe, I don't know. Is it, we don't know this woman's name, we don't know her background. Could there be some demographic factor to this? We have a whole playlist on how there seems to be some different application of the law depending on who you are. I don't know. Again, interested in viewers' thoughts. It'd be pure speculation on my part to say, but this is what makes the case different and interesting and noteworthy, is the entirely different approach that Calgary Police have taken to this case than police generally seem to take to other self-defense cases. And there's other episodes we've done. People may remember that. I believe the case is still ongoing, of that individual in the Niagara region who defended him, disarmed a home invader, and then he turned that weapon on the invader. He's charged. To me, that sounds even more clear-cut than this, because he actually took the weapon away from the invader and used it to defend himself rather than having pre-armed himself with that weapon and then pulling it out and using it in self-defense. So, interesting case, and interested in your thoughts. Now, all that said, this video is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, you can call me or call another lawyer. My contact information is listed below. If you have questions or comments or show requests with respect to Don't Talk TV, please email them to the email address listed below, that being don'ttalktv@protonmail.com. And as I said at the outset, if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please like, share, subscribe, and follow us on social media.